You know what? It's been too long since I've had a sleepover, and I mean an actual sleepover, not just crashing on my friend's couch after having a few too many. So let's change that. Let's have a sleepover movie night, and you're all invited. Get in your comfiest jammies, put on that sheet mask, pop that popcorn, paint those nails, or just continue driving to work. You're welcome here too. But this isn't just any movie night. This is a movie night beholden to copyright law. But who needs to actually watch a movie when you can just hear it described and deconstructed and lovingly mocked by your lovely host? So what movie should we watch tonight?
Bratz Go to Paris!
Wow, I am so glad that all of you unanimously agree. So why Bratz Go to Paris? This one usually isn't anyone's pick for their favorite Bratz movie, but I believe it's an underappreciated gem. So this movie's release date is technically October 2013, except not really. That's because Bratz Go to Paris was originally episodes 20, 21, and 22 of the Bratz TV show in 2006. It was repackaged into a single unit and sold as a standalone DVD much later down the line. So this movie is both the 15th and final movie in the series, and also kind of the 5th. All 3 episodes were released precisely in between Bratz Babies the movie and Bratz Passion for Fashion Diamonds. My personal history with this series started as an adult because I grew up in a Mattel loyalist household. I think I must have seen some clips of this show on Twitter or something, and after I went and checked it out for myself, I developed a deep emotional attachment to the Bratz TV show and movies, of which this entry is both. Are they good? Well, there's a lot of good things about them. It's way more absurd and off the wall than you'd probably expect if you've never seen it before. The writing is sometimes genuinely funny and clever. The visuals are inconsistent. But most importantly, they fill me with joy, and I wish today to impart some of that joy onto you. So pretty much all of the Bratz movies have a central gimmick or two. For example, Bratz Rock Angel's whole thing was an origin story for the Bratz Fashion magazine, which then segued into them becoming rock stars. Bratz Fashion Pixies is about them getting tangled up with a fae, Passion for Fashion Diamonds is about a road trip, Bratz Babies is about being babies with a Z, and so on and so forth. So just based on the name, what would you expect the gimmick to be in Bratz Go to Paris? I mean, yes, they go to Paris, but to what end? You might have guessed they're going there to work as models, and that's technically correct, but that's not what this movie is about. No, Bratz Go to Paris serves as this series' spy thriller. But even more important than going to Paris, more important than being models, more important than being undercover spies, this is a movie about juice that makes your bones old. This is a movie about bone-hurting juice. Considering that this may or may not be the final movie in a 15-movie series, there's a few characters that it assumes you already know, so I'm going to go over those now. First, you've got the titular Bratz, Chloe, Sasha, Yasmin, and Jade. All 4 of them are stylish, hyper-competent, and ludicrously accomplished 16-year-olds. At this point in the series, at least following the official release order, all of them have done the following: saved their school prom, independently published a world-famous fashion magazine, started a rock band, saved a genie girl from an organization of criminal scientists, traveled the continental United States on their own, became pixies and subsequently got their minds erased, became live action, been babies with superpowers, and went to Morocco to engage in yet more genie shenanigans. And that's not even accounting for all the stuff they got up to in the TV show. They pretty frequently operate as a unit, including when they're at each other's throats, which usually happens about once per movie. However, they've each got their own little quirks to set them apart. Chloe's thing is that she tends to have her head in the clouds and invent far-fetched worst-case scenarios at the slightest provocation. Sasha's thing is being self-assured and hot-tempered. Yasmin's thing is being shy and sweet and creative, and Jade's thing is being a fashion designer. Constantly badgering the main 4 are the Tweevils, as in a portmanteau of twin evils, Kirsty and Casey. These 2 are distinguishable only by Casey's ever-present rhinoplasty bandage. They're dumb, petty, and mean-spirited, with Casey weighed slightly towards dumb and Kirsty weighed slightly towards mean. And both of them are fully under the thumb of our last recurring antagonist, Berdine Maxwell. Berdine is editor-in-chief of Your Thing magazine, Bratz magazine's competitor, and she is pretty transparently an unflattering pastiche of Barbie and Mattel as a whole.
Must destroy Bratz! Must destroy Bratz!
And you know what? Fair. Mattel was up to some absolutely cartoonish villainy in their attempts to kill the Bratz franchise in the 2000s. Berdine is obsessed with pink, obsessed with youth, generally hates everyone, and is hated by everyone in turn. One thing about her is she is not the Tweevil's mom. She just, kind of owns these two girls for some reason. Like, they hate her, they're not loyal to her, but they seem to have no choice but to do absolutely everything she asks? I don't know. The last of the characters this movie assumes you'll already know is Byron Powell, whose name you may notice sounds like Simon Cowell because that's who he's supposed to be. He's a reality show judge and media personality, and despite his origin, he's really not all that mean, at least to the Bratz. I suppose that's due to the permanent bond of loyalty he forged with them after Yasmin found his lost dog in the Rock Angels movie. His role in this series is mostly to recruit the Bratz into shenanigans. Alright, that's all of them. Let's watch this movie.
Be the girls with a passion for fashion. Ooh, Bratz.
This movie opens on the glorious city of Stylesville, and then immediately flashes back to the city of Stylesville 15 years prior. And, you know, I understand that the fundamental purpose of this series is to act as a child independence fantasy. Like, this is for 8-year-olds to fantasize about the freedoms they'll have as a teenager, assuming infinite wealth and extremely negligent parents. However, for these babies to be strutting around in their underoos completely unattended is maybe pushing it. And they have motorcycles, like tricycles technically, but they appear to be street legal. Even if I try to adopt the mindset of a girl in this movie's target demographic, I don't feel liberated looking at these babies. I mostly just feel extremely concerned. Like, girl, you are a single year old. Where are your parents? Oh my god, they are so scary when they smile. So this flashback is for the sake of establishing the origin of the Bratz friend group, or at least the moment that it was completed. Yasmin joined the group last, since she just moved to town, and after she's gravitationally drawn to this group of slay babies, they immediately accept her into the friend group and designate her with a nickname. I would gripe that this friendship doesn't feel earned, but that is in fact how you make friends as a baby. No, seriously, please stop smiling. Stop smiling. Oh, thank God they're back to normal.
Just think, before we were Bratz babies.
Dolls and accessories each sold separately.
In this scene, they're fondly reminiscing about the past, but all of them look so distressed the entire time. Seriously, it's like they changed the tone of this scene last minute and forgot to change their facial expressions. Oh god damn it, they're babies again. Except this time we get the baby Tweevils, and my mood always improves when these two are on the screen. Baby Casey still has a rhinoplasty bandage, which is just devious. Okay, quick aside. Part of the reason why my uploads have been so sparse for the past year is because I needed and then proceeded to have nose surgery. I'm okay now, but I had one of those nose bandages myself for a solid week, and my doctor wouldn't let me keep it because it's medical waste and a biohazard. But that week, where I had a splint on and inside my nose, was one of the most viscerally unpleasant experiences in my entire life, and I understand now that Casey lives in hell. This running joke they've got going on where something hits her nose and requires her to get another nose job, which has apparently been happening to her for her entire life, still very funny, but she lives in hell. This is a world crafted to torture her specifically. Anyway, the baby Tweevils try to dissuade Yasmin from hanging out with the Bratz.
Here, you can play with Booby Doll.
Booby doll?
Hey, that's my Booby Doll, you thiefazoid!
Booby doll. Booby doll gets decapitated. Back in the present.
Let's celebrate our 15 years of friendship by throwing one big awesome party!
Wait, is this the party? They just put on some music and are busting a move? This seems like a good way to live. Yasmin gets a call from Byron Powell, who is currently being pursued by a variety of suspicious figures, and it simply would not be the Bratz cinematic universe if every male character didn't look absolutely busted and repulsive. Byron puts Yasmin on hold so he can Jokerfy these two men. Wait, did he just kill them? That stuff doesn't look survivable. After what is quite possibly a double homicide, Byron invites the girls to a meeting and jetpacks away from getting jumped by all these shady dudes. And then we catch up with the Tweevils in the present.
Hey, that's my Booby Doll, you thiefazoid!
I guess all of their dolls are called Booby Doll. Bradine comes storming in, announcing that the brand partnerships for her magazine are way down and that she needs the Bratz magazine out of business. And the way she suggests that the Tweevils go about accomplishing that is full-on corporate espionage.
You spy on the Bratz, you bug their office, tap their phones, invade their privacy!
And if you know anything about the history of Mattel and MGA, you will know that this is a very, very deliberate and pointed diss. Cut to the Bratz headquarters. Byron shows up with an oversized package full of Tweevils.
This can wait.
And I guess it's a good thing that nobody heard that package scream in pain, because he immediately starts yapping about a top-secret mission that he believes could tank the whole world economy if leaked. Reasonably, the girls are perplexed that he's talking about anything with these kind of stakes, considering his status as a Simon Cowell type. And he just flat out tells them that he's a secret government spy. Maybe I am underestimating the flawless moral fortitude of the Bratz, but this seems maybe irresponsible. And doubly so considering he did not check the contents of that human-sized screaming package. So what's this top-secret mission he's so concerned about? There's this French fashion designer named Jean-Paul, and there have been a series of attacks against his models. One day they're just fine, and the next day, they've got old bones.
Unfortunately, Simone's bones have been aged 80 years. Apparently, an evil mastermind has concocted a bone-aging formula.
There is something wrong with me, because consistently, every single time I hear that line, I end up laughing myself to tears. The plot of this movie fundamentally revolves around bone-hurting juice that gives you old, nasty bones. What? The whole reason Byron is telling them this is because he wants them to work as undercover models and get to the bottom of who's been making all the bones old, and the Bratz are all the way on board.
That's hot!
That? Anyway, now we're on to the part of the movie where the Bratz start being terrible to each other. Byron reveals that they have to pass a certification test in order to officially become spies, and he'll only be taking 2 of them.
Only 2 of us? Me!
The thing about the Bratz is that they're inseparable best friends forever, except when they aren't. And it really doesn't take a whole lot to get them clawing at each other's throats and stabbing each other in the back and just generally being terrible. Training montage. If there's one thing that Bratz media is better at than anything, it's delivering a grade A earworm. Wait, hold on, this montage is just the same clips over and over with the Windows Movie Maker color change filter. All 4 of the Bratz are equally insistent that they should be the one to go, and Yasmin points out that she's always the one who gets left behind. Flashback to the babies again, riding their street-legal motorized tricycles, and after Yasmin wipes out and gets left behind, the Tweevils mock her because none of them stop to help. Their infighting gets more and more vicious until Byron shows up and tells them that whoever gets the top 2 scores in the certification test will be the ones to go to Paris. And then they all promise to each other that they won't let this get in the way of their friendship. And then they immediately let it get in the way of their friendship. Time for a spy certification test montage where they're constantly mean-mugging at each other the entire time. Meanwhile, the Tweevils are undergoing a similar training, except Berdine is a completely incompetent mentor, and so it's mostly just torture. The final challenge is a motorcycle race, and for whatever reason, they're all done up in their live-in-concert doll looks. Hold on, are there Bratz motorcycles? Oh my god, there are! And they look good! They're still sniping at each other and being generally petty and awful until there's an echo of the past and Yasmin wipes out on her bike. Instead of finishing the race, they decide to stop being nasty and go back and save their friend. After they regroup, they give Byron an ultimatum. Their group is all or nothing, and if they can't all go to Paris, then he can find someone else. But it turns out that testing their unity was the actual purpose of that race. Does that mean that Byron planted the rock that wiped out Yasmin's motorcycle on purpose? Byron, you almost killed that girl. I feel like there's got to be a means of teaching them a lesson in the importance of friendship with a higher survival rate. Time to go to Paris.
Paris, here we come! Au revoir, à Paris!
Wait. That means goodbye to Paris. Unless it's like 2 separate thoughts, like goodbye to Paris. Whatever, I'm not going to be thinking about this any harder than the writers did, except I probably already have. When they're on the airplane, we get another semi-strange doll outfit pic. This time they're in their campfire outfits. Chloe's freaking out about the threat of getting old bones. Unfortunately, the Bratz boys are here. I have never liked these guys. I don't like their dolls. I don't like them on the show. They just serve the purpose of creating contrived plot drama and just being useless and hard to look at. Once they arrive at the hotel room, they're given a slew of totally spies-ass gadgets, the final of which are these shoes, which we don't get to learn the purpose of. Tweevils and Berdine arrive in Paris too.
You insolent sloths!
Oh god, for a moment there I thought she called them something else. Cut to Jean-Paul's studio where he's having a terribly French accented freak out.
No!
This is just what he does. He spends more or less every single second of his appearance in this movie just crashing the out. He's both freaking out over the plague of old bones that have been picking off his models one by one, and the fact that he's got terrible creative block as a result. Partnered with him is world-famous supermodel and shady ginger Nicole, who's the new face of Jean-Paul's brand after all the old bones incidents. Jean-Paul announces that killing himself is postponed after he sees the Bratz skill on the catwalk.
Pierre, cancel my will. My cats will have to wait.
He especially gravitates towards Jade, and Nicole immediately feels threatened. The first thing we learn about Nicole is that she is aggressively not a girl's girl. At a party later on, she aggressively hip-checks Yasmin out of the way to go chat up one of these forgettable Bratz boys. Which one is this?
I'm Cameron.
I fail to care. This red-headed Berdine clone named Elamina walks up, and I believe she's also supposed to have a French accent, but unfortunately it comes off more as a severe speech impediment.
Darlings, congratulations. You need agent for me. I represent all top models.
She offers her services as an agent to the Bratz, and Jean-Paul gets mad about it. The Bratz are having a hard time finding any leads, which is further complicated by the fact that Chloe is losing her mind with jealousy at Nicole cozying up with her bargain bin maybe boyfriend. And then Sasha gets all hard-eyed over another one of these dudes. At least with the also pretty useless Mycene dudes, their 2D designs were like fairly appealing. But I'm just afraid that anytime a guy, and I mean any guy, shows up on screen in one of these movies, you can just feel how much of the budget was allocated towards the girl's hair instead. Jean-Paul loses the will to live again. Jade gives him a pep talk. Jean-Paul regains the will to live. For now. The Tweevils crash the party, and while Casey is snooping in the bathroom, this creepy hooded character shows up and concocts a batch of old bones drink. Casey gets pushed in the toilet, but at least her nose is still intact. Berdine spots her French clone from across the room and flashes back to their dramatic shared history. They were members of the International Fashion Police together. What does that mean? What do they do? Why did they let Berdine join them? We will never know. Anyway, Berdine got distracted by a pair of shoes that the bad guys dropped and let her partner be kidnapped by the criminals while she screamed at her for help. No, seriously, why did they let Berdine join?
You got me almost killed. Huh, like it wasn't for a good cause.
Here's some old woman Yuri for you. Chloe's too busy staring daggers at Nicole to do her spy work, which is probably why you shouldn't bring on 16-year-olds for such a high-stakes mission. Steal your man montage. The next day, Jean-Paul is having an okay day for all of 5 seconds when he gets a call to let him know that yet another one of his models has been hit by old bones. Jade caught him screaming at someone the previous night, and she asked who it was in case it's related. It was Elamina, the Berdine clone, and he insists that even though the two of them fight all the time, he doesn't believe she's a suspect. Sasha's hanging out with the rando she was making goo-goo eyes at earlier.
Wanna cruise the Seine tonight?
You run that by me one more time?
Wanna cruise the Seine tonight?
Yeah, I have no idea.
911 social emergency. He's asking me out.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. She accepts but is freaking out the entire time, and then she has to blow him off because of her spy obligations. And this guy, Cruz, isn't pleased.
Sasha just blew me off. The relationship is over.
What relationship? The two of you have not gone on a single date. I know high school relationships tend to take everything extremely seriously, but this is below the bare minimum even for that. After this latest Old Bones event, Jean-Paul has canceled his show, citing an unwillingness to put any more models in harm's way. Jade once again talks him back from the edge because this grown man is extremely emotionally dependent on this 16-year-old girl he just met.
You finished my collection for me!
This man is useless. Jade's like, yay, this isn't exploitative at all. Sasha's trying to call Cruz and he's ignoring her, and then the Tweevils show up and show her a gossip rag that claims Cruz is already dating this world's Beyonce type. Girl, he's not worth it. He doesn't even have a personality. At this point, all of them are feeling defeated and demotivated. When Yasmin goes on a walk to clear up her writer's block, the shady hooded figure from earlier enters the hotel room to deliver a bottle of Bone Oldening. Yasmin enters the hotel room just as they're leaving, and this is when the movie really kicks into high gear. Commence rooftop chase sequence. Yasmin's kindness gets the better of her when the
Evil mastermind with the bone aging formula
nearly falls off the roof, and she gets pepper sprayed and lets the bad guy get away as a result. Yasmin gets back to the hotel room at the very second that Jade was about to get old bonesed. The water bottle was covered in extremely conspicuous and frankly disgusting DNA evidence, and after it gets tested, the culprit is revealed to be Elamina. Case closed, movie over, that's a wrap. At least it would be if you were watching this in the original TV format, because this marks the end of episode 2 of 3. As Byron is congratulating the girls for a job well done, he insists that the existence of Old Bone's potion is to remain confidential, because otherwise it could spark a worldwide panic. Except the Tweevils bugged their hotel room. Whoopsie doodle. The next day, the whole situation is all over the news, spearheaded by Berdine and her pink Chinese crested, just clout-chasing her shriveled little heart out.
Byron is going to be absolutely positively furious!
I am absolutely, positively furious!
The Bratz insist that they never told anyone, especially not Berdine, and Yasmin speculates that the room might be bugged. And it was, quite literally. And apparently it was extremely easy to find that out the entire time, and I'm kind of starting to suspect that maybe Byron isn't a very good spy. When they confront the Tweevils, they extremely inelegantly deny their espionage, but Casey ends up giving them a piece of information that gives Elamina an alibi. Her confrontation with the shady creep in the bathroom would have been impossible if she was the culprit. Roxy from the movie Rock Angels tells Sasha to stop avoiding Cruz and blah blah blah. Their subplot is the worst. They can't even decide who is avoiding who. Moving on. Meanwhile, Elamina is getting interrogated by Yasmin because she has the authority to do that, I guess.
This is an outrage.
Yasmin notices that she's left-handed, but her attacker on the rooftop was not. Byron insists the evidence is too airtight for those factors to matter, and the girls resolve to look for more information. As a reward for acting as Jean-Paul's emotional support teenager, Jade gets invited to become the new face of his brand, to which Nicole reacts with her signature stank face. Man, okay, usually I think the settings and interior design in these movies are a highlight, but man, this hotel room is powerfully ugly. I feel like I'd get a migraine just being in here for 30 seconds. The Bratz are discussing their lack of progress on the case when Jade gets a call from Nicole. She claims that Jean-Paul is having another one of his patented nervous breakdowns and needs her to come snap him out of it. Meanwhile, we're still supposed to care about Sasha and this dude, and I'm not buying it. Apparently, Jean-Paul and Elamina are actively getting divorced, which seems like kind of an overdue information drop. I wonder if it has anything to do with his emotional over-reliance on teenage girls. Remember this guy? He's here too. Yasmin immediately gets suspicious when she learns that Nicole called Jade and not Jean-Paul, and they all immediately rush over to his mansion. And then this suddenly becomes a horror movie. Nicole leads Jade into this ludicrously suspicious attic and offers her some ludicrously suspicious water, which Jade just slams without a second thought. Nicole starts monologuing at her menacingly about all the poisonings, and just as Jade attempts to leave, her bones get old. But no, seriously, she withers. It's kind of an alarming visual. In true inept antagonist fashion, Nicole explains in depth all the hows and whys of her serial bone aging. She's been trying to eliminate her competition, but Jean-Paul doesn't actually like her that much, so she just keeps getting replaced and keeps having to poison these new models. The reason she framed Elamina? Well, she's a convenient target. And she's also trying to get out of paying her agent fees. How resourceful. After she's done rambling, Nicole destroys Jade's cell phone and traps her in the attic. You will never guess how Jean-Paul is reacting to the fact that Jade is late. Chloe tracks Jade to the creepy attic and gets ambushed by Nicole, gets force-fed some bone-hurting juice, and gets one good kick in before it activates and she withers away just like Jade. Oh, I really hate the old bones sound effects. Chloe gets tossed in Old Bones quarantine, and Nicole rambles about how she's getting revenge because Cameron won't shut up about her, and I really thought the whole thing between Nicole and Cameron was Nicole trying to undermine the Bratz and get in their heads, but I guess not. I suppose she just earnestly latched on to Flopmarin with no ulterior motives because she's a loser. And I guess that means I'm calling Chloe a loser by association, and I do feel a little bad about that, but I guess I stand by it. Just look at this guy. Apparently, Nicole just carries the Old Bones antidote around with her and tells the girls that if they can take it from her, they can have it. Unfortunately, Jade and Chloe fail miserably due to having old bones. And then Nicole announces that she is going to kill them by pushing them out of an airplane. Jean-Paul's really gonna do it this time, but Nicole comes in and says that Jade just got food poisoning and she insists the show go on without her. Nicole and her menacing bangs is just addicted to doing doorway monologues. Then she relocates Jade and Chloe to go dump them out at 30,000 feet. Yasmin and Sasha find the attic shortly afterwards and discover a message written in invisible ink accusing Nicole of the Old Bones incidents and homicide by airplane. Nicole drags the two Old Bones into a car with Yasmin and Sasha in hot pursuit, and upon finding that it's out of gas, she instead decides to put the car in neutral and push it down a hill because she is determined to murder those girls by any means necessary. Is there any other Bratz movie where the antagonist's main goal is to just straight up kill them in cold blood? Like, I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I have seen have been, substantially lower stakes. Yasmin goes after the car and Sasha goes after Nicole. Apparently, the car wasn't just out of gas, the brakes were cut, and they are careening towards the edge of a cliff. And then they die. Jade, Yasmin, and Chloe immediately pass away upon impact, leaving Sasha the sole survivor of the Bratz. And vowing revenge against the woman who slaughtered her friends, she took on a campaign of vengeance, traveling across the country to pick off all of Nicole's accomplices one by one, until none but her remained. Oh wait, never mind, they have jetpack shoes. Remember those shoes from earlier? Yeah. Chekhov's gun, baby. Man, I feel like jetpack shoes would be really rough on Old Bones. Back to what Sasha's actually getting up to. She's looking for Nicole in this quiet, secluded forest, and Nicole is stalking her the whole time like some kind of predatory animal. They've actually managed to capture a pretty tense atmosphere here until the confrontation actually starts. Well, what are we doing here? You wouldn't necessarily expect something like Bratz to feature hand-to-hand combat, but this series is just full of surprises. Nicole pulls out the one other gambit she has besides Old Bone sauce and pepper sprays Sasha in the face. And just as all hope for Sasha's bones seems lost, Yasmin shows up and delivers Nicole a decisive kick to the face. Nicole is arrested, Jade and Chloe are given the Old Bones antidote, and their bones are officially restored.
I don't ever want to feel old again.
Girl, are you sure about that? Cruz shows up and is like, I'm not in a relationship with the Beyonce-type lady, and then they almost kissed, therefore wrapping up the most useless subplot in this whole movie. Seriously, am I supposed to be rooting for these two? They had a total of 1.5 positive interactions, and then they started avoiding each other, and now they're back together, even though they were never really together in the first place? You're already at an inherent disadvantage trying to make me care about any of the Bratz boys, but this movie has extremely aggressively failed to make me care. Jean-Paul finally has his fashion show, which means that maybe he can go a solid 10 minutes without flipping his lid this time. And then, finally, Byron comes in and congratulates them all on a job well done, and says he booked them a VIP club reservation for their 15th friendship anniversary. And all of them are like, nah. And then they go home and resume precisely what they were doing before all this mess, jamming in their bedroom, alone with a boombox. I guess they were eager to get the hell out of Paris. And I guess I don't blame them. I mean, there's folks over there who will give you Old Bones. And that's a wrap on the 5th and or 15th movie in the Bratz cinematic universe. This is usually the part of the video where I'd give a review, ramble about the aspects where it could be improved, stuff like that. So here I go. It's perfect, and I wouldn't change a single thing. Okay, maybe I'd cut the Sasha romance storyline or at least try to make it a little more coherent. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to find love, I just hate all the Bratz romance storylines. But other than that, it's flawless, and I will defend it with my life. The Bratz movies in general are just so quirky and idiosyncratic. They aggressively do not take themselves seriously. They really play up how goofball and cartoony and nonsensical the world is. And it really captures the essence of playing with dolls as a kid and spitballing the most dramatic and off-the-wall concepts that your little brain can possibly imagine. This movie is completely devoid of plot holes because every single inconsistency or loose end can be neatly explained by doll logic. What's the deal with these men who got Joker-fied by Byron? Well, they're your brother's action figures who just fell in a cup of Mountain Dew. Why does Elamina look and sound almost exactly like Berdine? Because you got two of the same doll and you need one of them to play a different character. Why was there a massive, unguarded cliff at the end of this downhill residential road? Because that's the end of the dining table, and just as the car is about to hit the ground, you scoop them out at the last second and go whoosh as they fly away in the jetpack boots that you just decided they have. Online, I see a lot of people saying that they strongly prefer the Rock Angels movie to this one, and I've got to wonder how much of that is nostalgia goggles. Rock Angels and Go to Paris are both equally intended to be viewed as 3 separate episodes or one continuous movie, and I feel like Go to Paris hides its tracks way better. Like, Rock Angels is so all over the place that you more or less forget about the fact that the story is leading to them becoming rock stars until the third act / third episode of the movie. But in Go to Paris, you will never forget about the fact that this movie is about Old Bones drink. They simply won't allow it. I do think part of why I enjoy this movie so much is because of whatever parasite is lodged in my gray matter that makes me lose my shit every single time they bring up Old Bones. But that whole concept is also kind of captivating. I mean, the central conflict of this movie revolves around the substance that destroys and enfeebles your skeleton in a matter of seconds, and we see two of our main characters subjected to that on screen. And that's before Nicole tries to murder them in cold blood. I like it when kids' movies don't shy away from being creepy and perilous, and it's something I wouldn't have really expected out of a movie like this. If you've never seen any of the Bratz movies, I recommend them as a little pick-me-up. When it's good, and when it's bad, it's amusing. And I'm saying that as someone with no personal nostalgia for this series. Well, I've got another obscure cartoon recap review in the works, and that is shaping up to be an absolute gigantic beast of a video. And I didn't want to make you folks wait as long as it would take for that to get finished. Will it be my next one? Who knows? It's pretty hard to watch, and I might need another little intermission before I get to that. Let me know if you'd be interested in any other relatively short, cozy style videos where I just talk about one thing. Maybe I could make this a series. Or maybe I will never do this again. My fate is in your hands, commenters. As always, the best way to support me is by becoming a member on Patreon. Thank you so much to Tyrese and Fishcatch for making these videos possible, and thank you to everyone who supported me through this ludicrously difficult past year. Okay, bye.